Welcome to I Love Asian Dramas. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel to get notified when new videos are uploaded. The title of this Korean romantic comedy drama is My ID is Gangnam Beauty from JTBC with 16 episodes. The story begins on a busy train where Kang Mi Rae attentively observes her surroundings, lost in a world of thought. With her supportive mother by her side, they enter a plastic surgery clinic, a moment charged with anticipation and a hint of anxiety. As the sedatives take effect, Mi Rae's mind drifts back to her painful past, memories of being bullied for her weight, which had long weighed heavily on her self-esteem. But she fought back, determined to change her life and transform her body. After the surgery, they find solace at the top of a mountain, where they breathe in the fresh air and share wishes for a brighter future. Now, with her stunning new appearance, Mi Rae is ready for university, kicking off her new chapter by shopping for the perfect perfume for her much-anticipated orientation. At the university, her bubbly friend Oh Hyun-young rushes over, their excitement noticeable as they plan to capture this fresh start in photos. Mi Rae, now looking radiant, turns heads and feels a mix of thrill and shyness under the attention. Meanwhile, Kyung Seok, the handsome student whose charm has caught everyone's eye, adds to the buzz on campus. When the orientation begins, Mi Rae's heart races at the unexpected confession from senior Kim Chonwoo. The atmosphere crackles with energy as Hyun Soo stands to sing for their team, while Mi Rae dances gracefully, embodying joy. Suddenly, her father's video call jolts her back to reality. She isn't ready to reveal her new look to him just yet, so she cleverly pretends to be a senior. Just as Chonwoo tries to get closer, Kyung Seok bursts in, causing Chonwoo to stumble. After the commotion, he asks Mi Rae if she's from Jarong Middle School, but she hesitates, lost in contemplation, avoiding the question that hangs in the air. Kyung Seok's father, a congressman, stepped out of the car to handle a minor accident. However, Kyung Seok's sister openly pointed out his father's political motives, which made Kyung Seok chuckle. Meanwhile, Mi Rae's father was taken aback by her new look. Mi Rae was in tears as she followed her flustered dad. Chonwoo brought up his love confession to Mi Rae again, only to leave her choking on his words before she hurried off. When Soo approached Chonwoo, commenting on how cool he was, he took her flattery at face value. Consequently, Chonwoo told Mi Rae that her love confession had been a mistake, leaving her bewildered. In a twist of fate, Chonwoo tripped over Kyung Seok's foot, causing a chaos. Thankfully, Kyung Seok managed to catch Mi Rae just before she hit the floor. In another turn, Chonwoo declared his feelings to Soo, under the impression that she reciprocated. However, Soo insisted she needed time to think it over. Teaching assistant Yun Woo-young assigned groups in class, putting Mi Rae, Soo, and Kyung Seok together with 3 others. Kyung Seok asked Mi Rae if she was from Jarong Middle School. This time, Mi Rae answered honestly, pleading with him not to disclose the truth about her new appearance to anyone. Later, Kyung Seok's friend, Woo Jin, asked for help in decorating his soon-to-open bar, leading to a discussion about their fathers. At a new semester party, Jang Won-ho confessed his feelings to Soo, but she gracefully turned him down. Soo tried to stir things up by asking Mi Rae in front of everyone if she had changed anything about herself. Quick-witted Kyung Seok intervened, prompting Soo to burst into tears and bringing the party to a close. Frustrated with Chonwoo for calling her a plastic monster, Mi Rae stormed off. Soo was dropped off at an upscale location by her seniors and friends, with some commenting on how wealthy her parents must be. Kyung Seok asked Mi Rae why she chose to undergo plastic surgery. She replied that she felt her looks were below average, which upset Kyung Seok as he didn't agree with judging people based on their appearances. Meanwhile, Chonwoo was bullying Mi Rae and other freshmen, but thankfully, Kyung Seok intervened, and the principal Yoon reported the incident to teaching assistant Woo-young. That evening, Mi Rae sought comfort from her mother, yet she didn't disclose the bullying she had faced at school. The next morning, the incident became the buzz among students. Teaching assistant Woo-young confronted Chonwoo, warning him that if he didn't change his ways, he would jeopardize his future and advised him to leave the freshman alone. Mi Rae later apologized to Kyung Seok for her earlier mindset about labeling people's looks, and he, in turn, expressed regret for how he had treated her that day. With their misunderstandings cleared up, the two were back on good terms. Later, Mi Rae almost reached for a broken flask, but Woo Young was right there to stop her just in time. Suah was eager to grab Kyung Seok's attention, so she decided to approach him. She felt flustered when Kyung Seok uncovered her clever scheme involving Mi Rae. To apologize, Mi Rae sent heartfelt photos to her father, which truly moved him. Later, Kyung Seok caught his sister sneaking beer from his fridge. She confided in him that their father was planning to send her abroad for studies, which would leave her missing him dearly. In response, Kyung Seok snatched the beer from her and took a drink, deep in thought about the situation. Meanwhile, Mrs. Na, Kyung Seok's mother, met Mi Rae at a perfume sampling event. During their chat, Mi Rae shared that her choice to study chemistry stemmed from her dream of becoming a perfumer. They bonded over their shared aspirations. Later, at Woo Jin's bar, Mrs. Na and Mi Rae enjoyed drinks together, connecting over their life stories. However, things got awkward when Kyung Seok unexpectedly walked in. Overwhelmed by the sight of his mother, he stormed out, clearly upset. Flashing back to his childhood, Kyung Seok recalled the traumatic moment when his mother attempted suicide in front of the family. The next morning, he asked Mi Rae to keep the previous night's events about his mother to herself, and she agreed. Mi Rae then invited Kyung Seok for a drink. After having a few drinks, the two engaged in a conversation about their past and worked through a misunderstanding that had arisen earlier. Kyung Seok urged his father not to send his sister abroad, but his father was firm in his decision. Meanwhile, the students were busy setting up the bar for the university event. Mi Rae felt uncomfortable in their revealing uniforms and hesitated to approach her middle school classmate, Yeongchul. As expected, he bullied her in front of everyone. However, this time, Mi Rae stood her ground and defended herself. Hyun-young later uncovered that it was Suah who had invited Yeongchul to their chemistry department bar. Suah felt let down after Kyung Seok remarked that Mi Rae was cute. During a conversation, Mi Rae reminisced about the moment she was saved by Mrs. Na from jumping off a bridge. Hyun-young informed Mi Rae of Suah's manipulative behavior, but Mi Rae was reluctant to believe that Suah would stoop so low. As Kyung Seok's father began his campaign, taking photos with elderly citizens, Mi Rae tried to confirm with Suah if she knew that Yeongchul was from Jaryong Middle School. Suah denied any knowledge. Later, while at the bar, a drink was unintentionally spilling Mi Rae, prompting Kyung Seok to accompany her to change. However, while inside the room, they found themselves locked in due to a faulty doorknob. Mi Rae wanted to change into a dry shirt, but felt extremely awkward, even though Kyung Seok was looking away. Kyung Seok complimented Mi Rae for standing up for herself against bullies, calling her cool. He expressed that he appreciated her sense of humor and felt he no longer had to be lonely now that she was his friend. Meanwhile, Kyung Hee confided in her brother about being scolded by their father for her poor grades, but he comforted her during this tough time. This reminded Kyung Seok of his own childhood, when he faced similar criticism from their father and was consoled by their mother. In class, the teacher assigned the students to watch a movie and write a report on it. Mrs. Na, however, ended up in the hospital after eating spoiled food. Mi Rae volunteered to look after her while the secretary took care of urgent matters. She later shared with Kyung Seok what had happened to his mother. Wanting to support his mother, Kyung Seok decided to visit her at the hospital. During this visit, Mrs. Na apologized for leaving her family, revealing that an accident had caused her to lose her sense of smell, a tragic fate for someone in the perfume industry. It was later revealed that Kyung Seok's father was responsible for this accident. Feeling unwelcome after being kicked out by his father, Kyung Seok sought refuge with Woo Jin. Meanwhile, Mi Rae enjoyed a joyful evening with her family at a karaoke bar. At teaching assistant Woo Young's housewarming party, everyone was taken aback by Kyung Seok's arrival, especially since he brought an enormous housewarming gift. Kyung Seok invited Mi Rae to catch a movie together for their assignment, and she happily agreed. Meanwhile, Suwa had also asked Kyung Seok to join her for a film, but he had to turn her down since he promised Mi Rae first. At the theater, the atmosphere between them felt a bit awkward. Mi Rae tried to lighten the mood by using straws as makeshift chopsticks while eating popcorn, hoping it would keep their hands from touching. After the movie, they went out for dinner, but Kyung Seok was preoccupied, mentally tallying up the total cost of their meal due to his tight budget. On their way home, it started to rain, so they huddled under the same umbrella. Woo Jin suggested that Kyung Seok head home because his business was facing some troubles, but Kyung Seok insisted he wasn't ready to go back and wanted to find another place to stay. He then asked teaching assistant Woo Young if they could share a room. Luckily, Woo Young agreed, but only if Kyung Seok would sign a contract to pay $70 a month and take care of the house chores, and he immediately agreed. Mi Rae was taken aback when she spotted Kyung Seok at Woo Young's place. He casually informed her that he was now living with the teaching assistant. In the morning, Kyung Seok decided to skip the bus to save some money. Fortunately, he was invited to lunch at the school cafeteria by Woo Young, which turned out to be a lucky break for his hunger. Woo Young also shared some ideas about part-time jobs with Kyung Seok. Meanwhile, Chon Woo approached Mi Rae to apologize for the wrongs he had done to her, and she graciously accepted his apology. Suwa stepped in to help Kyung Seok by offering him a job at her workplace. Kyung Seok's good looks impressed Suwa's boss, and he was hired on the spot. However, Kyung Seok turned down the job when he realized it would cost someone else their position. Later, Kyung Seok asked his mother if he could join her in some bonding time with Mi Rae, and she happily agreed. He jokingly told her that his high alcohol tolerance came from her, which made her smile with pride. When they met up with Woo Young again, he invited them over for a second round at his place. Mrs. Na teased her son about having a crush on someone, but Kyung Seok shrugged it off and lied, saying he didn't have a crush. Unexpectedly, Mi Rae fainted due to her low alcohol tolerance, and Kyung Seok had to carry her home. Before they parted ways, Mrs. Na gave her son some money for hangover remedies, reminding him to share it with Mi Rae. She then pulled him into a warm hug. The next morning, Kyung Seok handed Mi Rae some hangover medicine and advised her not to drink more than 3 shots without him around, expressing his concern about her being carried home by other guys. On the bus, a boy asked Mi Rae for her social media details, but Kyung Seok jumped in, claiming to be her boyfriend to fend him off. He explained to Mi Rae that it was the perfect way to keep unwanted attention at bay. Mi Rae became flustered when Woo Young complimented her, saying she was the prettiest in their department. Both Mi Rae and Kyung Seok signed employment contracts for their part-time jobs. Later, Mrs. Na visited Kyung Seok's house, bringing a ton of groceries to share with Woo Young. Kyung Seok jokingly teased Woo Young about not wanting to do laundry for the blankets. Kyung Hee dropped by to see her brother at work, and they grabbed lunch together with Mi Rae. With a smile, Mi Rae remarked to Kyung Seok that he was such a sweet brother. Meanwhile, Kyung Hee was furious with their mother for abandoning them, convinced that she was involved in an affair. Mrs. Na confronted her ex-husband about lying to their children about her infidelity, but he coldly replied that it didn't matter since she had ultimately left them. One day, Mi Rae's parents stopped by her workplace and Kyung Seok's striking looks caught them by surprise. He told Mi Rae how happy he was to see her again, making her feel a fluttering attraction towards him. Suwa later asked Mi Rae if she could apply for a job at the same place as her and Kyung Seok because she had a crush on him. However, Suwa insulted Mi Rae, claiming that people born with good looks were becoming less rare due to plastic surgery. This revelation made Mi Rae realize that Suwa had harbored resentment toward her from the start. Kyung Hee sells her brother's luxury clothes after running away from home, seeking money to support herself. In the meantime, Kyung Seok takes his sister back to their mother, as she refuses to return home to their father. Mrs. Na is more than happy to welcome her daughter back. Meanwhile, Mi Rae and her friends are having a great time at an indoor batting cage, where Kyung Seok impresses everyone with his batting skills. Although Mi Rae is drawn to Kyung Seok, she fights against her feelings, worried about what others might think of her falling for such a handsome guy, especially after her experience with plastic surgery. Tensions rise when Kyung Seok gets into an altercation with a fellow part-timer over gossip about Mi Rae, which lands him in the police station. As a significant milestone approaches, Kyung Seok's father secures the position of mayor. Amidst all this chaos, he musters the courage to ask Mi Rae if she has feelings for him, but she quickly denies it, fearing that her life could spiral out of control again. Kyung Seok turned heads when he walked into class with his newly dyed hair, just as Mrs. Na was lecturing about perfume. During lunch, Mi Rae confided in Mrs. Na about her feelings for Kyung Seok, sharing that she likes him too, but is hesitant to pursue a relationship due to worries about what others might think. Mrs. Na advised her to make choices she wouldn't regret later, especially since they both have feelings for each other. Mi Rae impressively identified all the scents in the perfume, leaving everyone in awe. To get under Mi Rae's skin, Suwa embraced Kyung Seok, but he quickly pushed her away, making it clear that he wasn't interested in her. Kyung Seok is determined to be with Mi Rae, but she keeps him at arm's length, scared of how their relationship might be perceived. In the morning, he told her that he's willing to patiently wait for her to come around. At the restaurant, Mi Rae felt caught off guard when Woo Young suddenly confessed his love for her, but she turned him down as well. Suwa confessed to everyone that she liked Kyung Seok, but this only made him feel angry. He confronted Suwa, accusing her of being manipulative. Just then, Mi Rae showed up and talked to Suwa about her misbehavior, pointing out how she was using Kyung Seok to stay popular and advising her not to interfere in his life. Later, Kyung Seok helped Woo Young brush his teeth since he was too drunk to do it properly. He felt relieved when Mi Rae confirmed that she had also turned down Woo Young's love confession. Things took a turn when Mi Rae admitted that she liked Kyung Seok, and they both agreed to start dating. However, Mi Rae asked Kyung Seok to keep their relationship under wraps for her own peace of mind, and he agreed. When Suwa inquired if Kyung Seok was dating Mi Rae, she unexpectedly appeared and confidently replied that they were indeed a couple. Suwa congratulated Kyung Seok and Mi Rae on their relationship. Trying to keep things under wraps, Mi Rae acted as if she were in a spy movie, afraid that her schoolmates would spot her on a date with him. When Kyung Seok called her to warn that one of their college friends was on her way, they quickly slipped out of the restaurant without even touching their dinner. To stay incognito, they wore masks, but this only drew more attention, so they decided to take them off. Their secret was soon out when Mrs. Na caught them together. Surprisingly, instead of being upset, she was thrilled about their relationship, happy to see her son dating someone like Mi Rae. Later, Mi Rae invited Kyung Seok over, and together they spent a cozy evening making candles. Mi Rae finally made the bold decision to go public with her relationship, confessing her feelings in front of her college friends. To indulge in a cherished memory, the couple put on their old middle school uniforms and enjoyed a nostalgic meal together. Later that evening, after watching a movie, they found themselves in a bit of a bind when the bus service was unavailable and booking a taxi proved impossible. Mi Rae tried reaching out to her parents, but they weren't home either. Ultimately, she and Kyung Seok decided to stay overnight at her parents' house. It was in that moment that they shared their very first kiss, marking a memorable turning point in their relationship. Mi Rae went to bed, leaving her phone in the living room where Kyung Seok was staying. When her mother called to check on her, Kyung Seok answered the video call. In their chat, he told Mi Rae's mother that he's her boyfriend, which brought joy to her parents. Meanwhile, Woo Young was worried about Suwa's safety, so he tried to reach her but couldn't get through. Dongwon, who was obsessed with Suwa, attempted to harm her, but thankfully, Mi Rae was there to help calm her down. To ensure Suwa was all right, they took her to the hospital. She later attended a counseling session at school, where the counselor assured her that a restraining order would be placed on Dongwon, preventing him from coming near her. Kyung Seok's father tried once more to win over Mrs. Na, but his efforts fell flat. In a heart-to-heart, Kyung Seok and Suwa talked honestly, and she admitted that she never had feelings for him, which surprisingly made him smile. Later, Kyung Seok was touched by the birthday surprise Mi Rae had organized just for him. The series wrapped up with Kyung Seok and Mi Rae enjoying a beautiful moment atop a mountain, where he hinted that it would be the perfect spot for a marriage proposal. Hello. Feel free to check out another video or subscribe to my channel. And if you enjoyed the video, please remember to like and drop a comment below. Thanks a bunch for tuning in.